It started with a voice that didn't match the room, loud, sharp, full of authority that hadn't been questioned in a long time. Hands where I can see them. Now. And just like that, the whole diner froze. Forks stopped midair. Coffee cups hovered, conversations died in their throats. You know that feeling when a room changes temperature all at once? Yeah, that happened. I was sitting there in a hoodie, cheap coffee going cold in front of me, rain tapping the window like it always does in this city, and I knew right away this wasn't going to end clean. Here's the thing. From the outside, I looked like exactly who he wanted me to be. Alone, quiet, dressed down, minding my business. The kind of guy people overlook or judge in half a second. And the cop standing over me, Officer Caldwell, he saw what he needed to see to justify whatever he was already planning. Another body, another stat, another small win he could brag about later. What he didn't see was the wire taped to my chest, the tiny earpiece buzzing in my ear, or the fact that I was there as bait in an operation the Bureau had been building for almost 4 years. I didn't flinch when he shouted, didn't argue, didn't give him the satisfaction. I raised my hand slowly and looked up at him, calm, measured, watching. That calm annoyed him more than anything else could have. Guys like Caldwell feed on reaction. Fear, anger. When you don't give it to them, they don't know what to do with themselves. The diner itself was nothing special. Grease-stained windows, cracked vinyl booths, the smell of burnt bacon that never really goes away. People came here when they didn't want to be seen. That's why we picked it. I'd been sitting there almost half an hour already playing the role, slouched just enough to look tired, eyes down, posture wrong on purpose. Agent Perez's voice came through my ear, low and steady, telling me the target was 2 minutes out, reminding me not to rush it. Victor Salgado, mid-level operator, paranoid, slippery, the kind of guy who disappears if the wind changes direction. Then the bell over the door rang, and for half a second my heart jumped because I thought it was him. But no, 2 uniforms, Caldwell and a rookie trailing behind him like a shadow. The whole room went quiet. You could feel it. Caldwell scanned the place like a predator looking for the weakest animal in the herd, and his eyes locked onto me. Hoodie. Alone. Perfect. Feet off the seat, he barked. They're not, I said calmly, meeting his eyes just long enough. That did it. He leaned in close enough that I could smell old coffee and something sour on his breath. Asked me if I bought anything or if I was just loitering. I pointed at the mug. Said I was waiting on someone. He laughed loud, performative, said guys like me don't have friends, only accomplices. In my ear, Perez asked if we should abort. I glanced at the window and saw a black sedan slow down at the curb. Salgado. Watching. If I stood up and left now, he'd vanish and 4 years of work would evaporate. So I said no. We ride it out. Caldwell noticed the duffel bag under the table, asked what was in it. I said laundry. He laughed again, turned to the rookie like he was teaching a class on how to humiliate someone in public. She looked uncomfortable, told him maybe they should just get coffee. He ignored her, said I matched a robbery suspect. Vague description, old trick. I told him I'd been there 30 minutes, that the waitress could confirm it. He told me to stand up and produce ID. And that's when the sedan outside rolled forward and disappeared around the corner. Just like that. The meat was burned. I stood slowly. Anger settled in my chest, heavy and cold. You just made a mistake, I said. He took that as a threat. Called in resistance. I raised my hands higher, told him I wasn't resisting, told him he was interfering with a federal operation. He laughed right in my face, told me to turn around. My badge is in my back pocket, I said, dropping my voice to that tone. You don't practice. You earn. Touch me, and you're assaulting a federal officer. For half a second, just half, I saw doubt flicker. Then his ego crushed it. He twisted my arm hard, snapped the cuffs on, shoved me toward the door. I didn't fight. I wanted everything recorded, every word, every shove, every choice he made. Into my mic, clear as day, I said to let him book me. Do not intervene yet. The paper trail mattered now. The ride to the precinct was quiet in the worst way. The rookie kept glancing back at me like she was trying to solve a puzzle that didn't make sense. Caldwell scrolled his phone, already bored, already planning. I could hear him talk about seizing the cash, counting it later, not being so by the book. Civil forfeiture. Easy money. At booking, he dumped the duffel on the counter and unzipped it. Stacks of hundreds shut the room up fast. He called it drug money. I told him calmly it was government funds, serial numbers recorded. He leaned in smug and reached into my pocket. The moment his fingers touched the badge, everything changed. You could feel it. He pulled it out, flipped it open, and the color drained from his face. Heavy gold. Real seal. Real ID. I told him to run it. He refused, ordered me locked up anyway. That's when the red phone rang. The captain. Screaming. Caldwell picked it up, listened for 2 seconds, and slammed it down. You just hung up on your boss, I said quietly. Check the time. 7 minutes. Outside, black SUVs rolled in like a storm. FBI jackets, tactical gear, controlled chaos. The doors flew open and the room filled with authority that didn't ask permission. I was uncuffed. Caldwell wasn't. In the interrogation room, I laid it all out. Body cam footage, surveillance video, bank records, shell companies, offshore accounts, every coincidence explained, every little protection he thought no one noticed. He tried to bluster at first. Qualified immunity, good faith. I shut that down fast. Told him there was no robbery. Showed him the logs, showed him the money trail. You weren't protecting the streets, I said. You were protecting your paycheck. Then I dropped the part that really broke him. The diner wasn't just about Salgado, it was about him. We suspected a mole, someone inside the precinct, tipping off our targets. The pattern was too clean, too consistent, and every time Caldwell was nearby. He slammed his hands on the table, denied it, said he just saw a bum in a booth. I replayed the footage, showed him how he glanced at the window, checked his watch moved in right as Salgado's car approached. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Salgado called me later that day, told me he'd known something was off, used Caldwell as a test, sacrificed him to confirm who I really was. Yeah, that happened. Caldwell didn't last long after that. The mob lawyers showed up, told him he was done, that he'd become a liability. No protection, no help, no loyalty. He broke, asked for a deal, gave us everything, flight plans, a private airstrip, a jet scheduled to leave that night. We rolled hard, lights, sirens, engines screaming. When we hit the runway, the jet was already moving. I did something reckless then, drove straight into its path, a game of chicken between 3 tons of steel and 30 tons of money and fear. At the last second, the jet slammed the brakes, skidded, crashed off the runway. We breached it fast. Salgado tried to buy his way out, offered millions. I told him it wasn't about money, slammed him into cuffs. Months later, the courtroom was packed, press everywhere. Caldwell stood there looking like a ghost. 25 years, pension gone, assets seized. Everything he thought made him untouchable stripped away in minutes. As I walked out, reporters shouted questions. I stopped and said one thing. Justice isn't loud, it's patient. And that's what I want to ask you. Was that justice, or was it revenge finally catching up? How many times have you seen someone judged by how they look, what they wear, where they sit? How many times have you been that person? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Argue with me. Tell me your story. If this hits something real for you, hit like, subscribe, and stay aware. You never really know who's sitting quietly at the next table, you know what I mean?